What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I am your host, and welcome to another episode. Man, I hope this podcast is really blessing you. Really, my desire is that this podcast helps you to continue to make life's pivots. I'm just hearing feedback from all kinds of people, friends, family, people that I don't know, people that I do know. Really about the impacts of this podcast. And my word has always been, as long as this podcast continues to add value to people, we will continue to do it. The minute that this podcast is no longer providing value, really is the minute that I don't want to take up space, take up your time. And so as this thing just continues to evolve, continue to grow, we look to support you guys by supporting you on your journey. And so we here believe that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. All right, let's dive into this episode. So this episode, really, I want to talk about personal branding. I think personal brand is something that is one of the most important aspects, and I believe a emphasized aspect of building anything you want to build or becoming anything that you want to become. So let's start with this really quick. And really this episode, I want to really tackle why your personal brand is holding you back. I'll repeat that again. I want to really tackle why your personal brand is holding you back. No matter what you're going to be doing in life, it's going to hinge and can be launched or significantly scaled by the way you are as a person and the personal brand that you have to support whatever it is you're trying to build. And so let's first start with the fact that you already have a well-established personal brand. If you are listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this episode, you have already an established brand. Your brand has been established for probably quite some time. And so the question that I have to ask you is, have you built your brand intentionally, or have you let other people determine what your brand is? And when it comes down to it, I believe a lot of people, they have a personal brand, but they have not been intentional about building it. They let other people create their brand. They let other people come up with what their thing is, and they don't quite know what it is. And so let's dive into a little bit deeper on what actually a brand is, because I think a lot of times people use it, especially in this day and age, pretty interchangeably, right? It's synonymous with a lot of different things. But for the sake of today, a brand is really just a way a product, company, or individual is perceived by those who are experiencing it. And so when you think of Chick-fil-A, the brand of Chick-fil-A is based on how you describe your experience with Chick-fil-A. The brand of, think of another store, right? You could think of your favorite grocery store. You could think of your favorite car brand or whatever, right? It's like the brand in which how you experience it. Now, there are some brands out there that they stick out like a sore thumb because they are so excellent what they do. You can think of the Ritz-Carlton, right? A very luxurious and very affluent hotel brand. They're known for their customer service. They're known for the way in which they provide exceptional customer service and concierge services and all those kinds of things, right? We often can very easily describe the really good brands and the brands that are not so good, right? And so your personal brand is just like that. So from a personal branding perspective, I would say that branding is almost the same as what you would call reputation. It's very similar, right? Like that may help click for some of you guys. When we talk about brand and why brand is so important is because everything that you're going to do is going to be launched off of your personal brand. If I am known to work on cars, it's going to be hard for people to trust me if I'm trying to sell them life insurance, right? If I am known for being a used car salesman, it's going to be hard for people to think that I am now a doctor or I'm now in the healthcare space or the medical field, right? Because my brand is synonymous with sometimes the things that I do, who I am, what I post, what I talk about, what I share, what's core to me, my identity, my experiences, all that kind of stuff, right? And so to stand out from the crowd, it's essential to have a strong personal brand. A personal brand really is your unique combination of skills and experiences that make you who you are, right? It makes you unique and it sets you apart from everyone else. And by developing a personal brand, you give yourself a competitive edge, right? To do anything and everything that you want to do, right? And so the reason why you want a personal brand and to build your personal brand is because you want attention. No matter who you are, everything that has come positively in your life has probably come because you somehow found a way to get the proper or the correct attention, right? If you're a woman out there and you have a spouse, you probably got that spouse because you found a way to get their attention. If you have a job in today's day and age, you probably got that job because you submitted potentially a resume or you applied for the job and somehow, some way got that employer's attention. If you are, maybe you're a salesperson, right? And you may have a sales career and you closed the deal or you sold something to someone. It's probably because you found a way to get attention. If you're killing it on social media and you have a significant social media following, all that kind of stuff, 9 times out of 10, it's because you found a way to get people's attention, right? And so when we talk about personal brand, the only reason why personal branding is important is because everything that you want to do is going to be reliant on your ability to get the people's attention that can open up doors for you, that can create opportunity for you, that can give you raises, that can pour into your business, that can be an investor in your business, that can be a partner in your business, that can be a client, right? If you're building a business, there's nothing more valuable than attention. I actually, and Gary Vee actually said this, I actually subscribe to the same notion that I think attention is more valuable than money in 2022. Like attention, if you've got attention, you've got all the money in the world. So much so that brands are willing to spend hundreds of thousands as well as millions of dollars by paying people who have attention, because they know that if I can give somebody that's got attention $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, that we can exchange that attention for all the money in the world. We can print money at that point, as long as we got eyeballs, as long as we got attention, right? And so the question that I got to ask for you first is, before we dive deep really into building your personal brand, is why do you want attention? Like, what do you want attention for? If you desire a personal brand, it's because you want attention. I want you to get very clear on what you would do with people's attention. Would you help them live a better life? Would you help them with their finances? Would you help them with their wealth? Would you help them with their health? Would you help them with their happiness? Would you help them with their business ideas, right? Why is it important for someone like you to have other people's attention, right? Why would you want a spouse's attention? Why would you want an employer's attention, right? All these things are important because personal brand, again, I'm going to say this probably 1,000 times. Personal brand is the thing that if you could find a way to make sure you get clear on it and that you be intentional about building it, you can use your personal brand to do so many other things. Let me give you guys some example for ways and things that I've been able to use my personal brand for. So, and I didn't know this, guys, actually until I built the things that I'm getting ready to describe, that it was heavily based on my personal brand. So the first thing is this. I was able to create $1 million real estate investment company because of my personal brand. I'm gonna give you a quick story on it. I started a real estate investment company and I was doing real estate investing myself. And what happened is people started to see what I was doing. I was just documenting my journey. I was documenting the process of looking for properties. I was documenting the process of putting offers in. Once we bought a house, at that point, I had a business partner. His name is Tom. Tom, if you're listening, shout out to my guy. So we were flipping properties, right? And when we were flipping properties, I was documenting that process. I was posting before and after photos, pretty much documenting the entire process. When we ran into hurdles, when we ran into challenges, I documented that, right? And so people started to associate me with real estate, right? And real estate investing. So much so that people who was looking for a vehicle to put their money to invest in started to reach out to me and say, hey, can I invest with you? Can I partner with you? Are you taking investors on deals and things of that nature, right? And so that one thing helped launch so many other things in my life. And so with that, I was able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to invest into real estate and build a real estate investment company because of my personal brand. Let me give you another reason, right? For me, how a personal brand has been so impactful and so important to me. I was able to launch Pivot, which is my coaching company. And when I first started that coaching company, I made $10,000 in the first month that I started that business. How? Because I transitioned to being a six-figure business, but I transitioned that. So once I did 10,000 in the first month, I was able to transition that to actually building a six-figure business and become a brand that people actually like and people would actually want to work with, right? The way that I launched that was because I already had an existing brand, and I was able to leverage my existing brand, my current brand, to be able to launch that business and have success in a pretty short amount of time, right? The reason why I was able to do that, because I had a personal brand. I already had a name. I already had a reputation, right? I was also able to use that personal brand to start a podcast called you guys are listening to this podcast, the Pivot Mindset Podcast. And when starting the podcast, I was able to attract sponsors and people who would want to put ads in the podcast well before I actually released the first episode. So if you go back and listen to the first episode, you will hear sponsorships in those episodes. How? The podcast was not live yet, but people knew my brand and they were connected with me so much so that they wanted to invest with me, or they wanted to partner, right, and put sponsorships on my podcast, right? All because of personal brand, right? I've been able to use my personal brand to connect with some of the coolest people in the world and some of the greatest influencers and people that are changing the world, right? Because of personal brand. I use my personal brand to grow a strong social media presence, right? That I've also been able to use to monetize every single thing that I do. Personal brand is so important, right? Personal brand is so important. So really, I'm hoping by the end of this episode, right? And I think we're gonna probably break this up into two parts. I'm hoping by the end of this episode that I sell you on the reason why building your personal brand is so important, right? And then the next episode, I'll actually give you some really good strategies and tips on how to actually rebrand yourself or brand yourself appropriately, right? And so one of the biggest things that I think that holds people back, I want to note this from building a personal brand, is because they don't want people in their business, but they want people's business. Honestly, guys, when I talk to people all over the place, when it comes to talking about what they're doing, talking about their brand, all that kind of stuff, and building who they are, they so much so do not want to put their business out there because they're afraid of what people will think. They're afraid of how they'll be viewed. They're afraid of what is actually like what they're so afraid of people's opinions, right? But they want people's business, right? And so I know so many entrepreneurs out there that have got phenomenal ideas, but they struggle with social media because they don't want people in their business. But guess what? They still want people's business. So you can't have both is what I'm trying to say. You can't not want people to be in your business and want their business, okay? And so I want to just debunk that. If you're somebody that's like, I'm a private person, I'm introverted, I don't like to share my personality, and I don't like to share the stuff that I'm going through, I'm going to just say that I'm not sure that I can help you build a personal brand if you're not interested in putting your business out there. I'm not saying you got to put where you live, your address, social security number, your kids' name. Like, I'm not saying you've got to put personal information out there, but what I am saying is that you have to begin to put yourself out there to a point that people understand your uniqueness, and they also understand and start building a relationship with you virtually, right? They start building a relationship with you online or on your social media or on your YouTube or your podcast, whatever, right? Okay, cool. So let me give you guys 10 reasons why you should be building a personal brand. I promise I am trying to give you guys my best sales pitch on how and why it is so important to build a personal brand. And if you don't know these 10, these are holding you back from being successful. Like, your personal brand is holding you back. If you're not where you want to be, it's probably because your personal brand is connected to it and you haven't yet focused on building your personal brand, and you're trying to put all these other things on top, that if you just focused on building your personal brand for a little bit, that everything you touched and everything you did would actually be blessed and actually grow and scale from there, okay? So let me give you the first one. So the first reason is if your personal brand is great, everything you do will have a higher likelihood to be great. If you have a great personal brand, everything that you do, everything that you touch, everything that you're a part of will have a higher likelihood to be great. I'm not saying that it guarantees that everything you do is going to turn into gold, but what it is saying is that there's a higher likelihood of success because you already have a brand. And so when you already have a strong personal brand, anything you connect yourself to has that comes with it, right? People partner and people collaborate with people that have really strong personal brands. Why? Because people know that if I can bring someone in that has a strong personal brand, it gives the highest likelihood to be successful, right? Let me get to the second one. Number 2 is your ability to collaborate with other great personal brands will be easier, right? Like your ability to collaborate. So much of today's society is dependent on collaboration. We're, I believe, heading into a collaboration market and economy that it relies so heavily on people collaborating with one another, right? And your personal brand expands your ability to collaborate with other great personal brands, right? Rolls-Royce, for example, would not be seen at any event that you would see Honda or Toyota at. It just will not happen. You don't see Rolls-Royce at the car show and all that kind of stuff. Why? Because there's brands that they don't even want to be associated with that are there. And so the same thing is true about your personal brand. If you are Honda and you're trying to sell at Rolls-Royce prices, the Rolls-Royce people would not want to hang around you and they would not want to collaborate until you get your brand to that level, right? Rolls-Royce don't want to hang with Honda. Just like, so if your personal brand is weak, people that got strong personal brands, they don't want to collaborate with you, right? So if you improve your personal brand, now you get the chance to collaborate with people that have other, who focus on their personal brands as well. As well as you are truly one collaboration away from having your life changed, right? You're one collaboration away. You're one repost, retweet, one friend of a friend seeing your content because they shared it because you have a strong personal brand and they don't mind connecting their name with yours can completely change. Like you're often one decision away, one customer away, one conversation away, one meeting away, right? This one thing away, and your personal brand could help you bridge that gap, okay? Let's get to number 3. Number 3, if you don't build it, other people will build it for you. This is the reason why you should be building a personal brand. If you don't build your personal brand, other people will be building it for you. Number 4, you will make more money, find more fulfillment because your brand is associated with your purpose. If you have a personal brand, I can almost guarantee you, like a strong personal brand, that you'll make more money. Because again, everything that you're connected with, everything that you touch, you get the chance to benefit from connectedness and people, right? You find more fulfillment because your brand is connected and associated with your purpose. I believe that anybody that doesn't know their personal brand and not familiar with it, I believe they're also disconnected to their purpose. Number 5, your ideal people start to find you when you have the right personal brand that's connected to you. And if you're trying to blend in, nobody will find you. If you're trying to blend in and trying to, use other people's graphics and, steal and rob ideas from other people and not thinking of your own personal ideas and your own views and how you think about things, how you process things, right? It will be hard for you to stand out. And so your ideal people, when you have a good brand, will start to find you, and you got to stop blending in. Okay, let's go to number 6. Number 6 is attention is the most valuable thing you have, right? I talked about a couple minutes ago that in this day and age, attention is more valuable than money, because if you have money, you can't get attention. But if you have attention, you can always get money, right? So if you're trying to build a business, you need attention, and having a personal brand helps you get attention, right? Number 7, your brand will build relationships for you, right? We can only have so many one-on-one conversations with people. I have people who listen to this podcast, and because they listen to this podcast and have listened to many episodes, they are connected with me. I've never met them before, but they feel like they know me because they've listened to me talk about topics, talk about ideas, and those conversations have allowed them to build relationships. It's been one-sided, right? I haven't talked to them. I haven't engaged. I don't know them, but it builds the relationships for me when you have a strong personal brand and when you got content that's out there that can help substantiate that personal brand. Or even if it's not content, even if you have people that are out there that can be speaking positively on your behalf, or referrals or testimonials, or just people that celebrate you, right? That allow you to be in rooms that you are not in, like your name is being brought up in conversations when you're not even there, right? That is the part of the process, okay? Number 8 is you build trust and credibility with your audience. This is so critical. This is so key. I think a lot of the things that we try to do in life, when we don't have a personal brand, we have to be so good at it. We have to be phenomenal. But when you have a strong personal brand, you built and you have trust and credibility, you don't have to be the best at the thing because you got trust and credibility. People will actually give you grace to grow into the best. You don't have to be the best public speaker, but because people trust you and you got credibility with them, they'll bring you in to speak. And then as you continue to develop your gift, right? Like you're not getting in rooms just because you're the best when you have a strong personal brand. You're getting in the rooms because you have trust and credibility, okay? Let's go to number 9. Your business will start to sell itself. If your personal brand fails to tell a story, it will become difficult to keep your audience engaged. And so when your personal brand is where it's supposed to be, everything that you do, and when I say your business, I'm not just saying your company, but I'm saying anything that you do. Your business could be your job. Your business could be your family. Your business could be your legacy. Your business could be your hobby, right? I mean, you're the business of who you are. You know, Joe Schmo Incorporated, whatever it is that you do, it will start to sell itself, right? People will be, again, talking about in your rooms that you're not in. Let me give you the last one. The number 10, I'm trying my best to sell you guys on why it's so important to be building a personal brand. Number 10 is you get to control how people view you. Guys, let me tell you, this point right here, I wasn't aware of. I did not know that I could architect the way that people viewed me. I had no idea that this was possible. When I first thought that people only viewed me, or I thought that I couldn't change people's perception or reality of who I was. But you absolutely can change the perception, your reputation, and how people view you. And so there's no better way to control that. I believe that it is a risk and a huge missed opportunity if you let people control how they view you and you don't control how they view you. How do you control how they view you? I'm actually get to that in part 2, but I just want to give you a quick nugget on that. You control how they view you by intentionally architecting what you want to be looked at. And the best way to do that is to think, what I want, right? If I want to be wealthy, what does wealthy require? And I have to become that. How do you realize that? You do research. You look at people that have become wealthy. What do people that have become wealthy have done? What did they look like? What did they dress like? What schools did they go to? Did they go to school at all? Right? What books did they read? All that kind of stuff, right? What do you want? And as long as you can be okay with evolving into the thing that you want and what it wants, you will be unemotionally attached to the process, and you'll be consistently connected to being able to help change people's perception and reality of you, okay? That is all I got for you in this episode. Man, I really hope that I did a good enough job selling you on why it's so important on building a personal brand. When you build a good personal brand, everything that you touch, everything that you're connected with is going to be better. Your business is going to be better. Your relationships is going to be better. Your marriage is going to be better. Your children's lives are going to be better. The school districts that they can live in is going to be better. The house that you can live in is going to be better because you have a personal brand and you're able to squeeze more juice out of the orange, right? And you're able to truly maximize every single thing you're involved in because a personal brand separates you from people who do not know how important this is, okay? All right, so this is part 1. Please see us in part 2, which is our next one, where we're going to be talking about how to rebrand yourself. If you haven't been intentional about building your personal brand, if you haven't maybe even cared up to this point on building a personal brand, I'm going to be giving you some really good tips and really strategy on how to help you build and rebuild your brand, all right? And so remember here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.